Antonio Tarver goes at Derrick James and goes in on Derrick James and tells Errol Spence, you can learn something from me. Come mess with me. Well, we're going to talk about Antonio Tarver because he's been real critical of Errol Spence throughout his whole career. I'm going to let y'all hear exactly what he had to say to Derrick James. But before we do that, make sure that you hit my like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed to the channel. What's happening with it, y'all? Now, this past weekend, we finally got the fight that we've been asking for at least the past 5 years, you know? What was probably the biggest fight, especially the biggest welterweight fight in boxing since Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. We finally got Errol Spence versus Terence "Bud" Crawford. Now, we thought this fight was going to go down to the wire, was going to be one of the best fights that we ever saw. But Errol Spence told us it was going to be a one-sided ass whooping. The only difference is it was a one-sided ass whooping, but it wasn't in the favor of Errol Spence, my man, Mr. Man Down. And yeah, it's still man down over here. Ain't nobody changed, ain't nobody switched up. But congratulations to Terence "Bud" Crawford. Now, in this fight, we saw something that most people never thought they would see from Errol Spence. I mean, he was getting knocked down by jabs. He was getting wobbled by every punch that Terence Crawford threw. And EJ, he just didn't look the same. I don't know what was going on with him. He didn't look the same, you know. It's a lot of speculation going on. I'm not going to speculate. I want to give Terence "Bud" Crawford his props. But I do want to see the run back. You know, they got to get it back at 154, and we're going to see if anything changes. But a lot of people, they start pointing the finger at Derrick James. Derrick James didn't make no adjustments. Derrick James didn't do this, and Derrick James could have did this. And Derrick James didn't prepare Errol Spence for this fight. It's ridiculous. The biggest fight of his career, Derrick James didn't even have this man prepared. A lot of people getting on Derrick James' helmet. Well, we know once a fighter takes a major L, people always gonna point the finger at the trainer a lot of times. And a lot of times we see the fighter point the finger at the trainer. Now, we already know that Errol Spence ain't gonna be doing none of that. EJ, he took his loss like a man. He gave Terence Crawford his props. He didn't make no excuses. All he said is we gotta run it back. I hope it's at 154, and the best man won tonight. That's how you're supposed to take an L. Continue to do work, continue to come back, and come back better and learn from your mistakes. But like I said, Antonio Tarver, he pointing the finger at Derrick James. Antonio Tarver had a lot of negative things to say about Errol Spence in the past, and now he got a lot of shit to say about Derrick James. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play y'all the audio, let y'all hear what Antonio Tarver said about Derrick James, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna cook on the situation. Make sure that y'all hit my like button before you listen to this if you ain't already smashed the like button.
I gotta be honest, bro. They crowning these guys trainers of the year and all this stuff, but we don't. What are we? Come on, bro. This man wasn't prepared for no Terence "Bud" Crawford tonight, and the trainer got to take some flack for that. It's his responsibility too to have his fighter ready. Man ain't had nothing about no defense, no head movement, no feints. Didn't have his hands up, feet all everywhere, bruh. Where's the lessons? You know? And so I've been out here campaigning as a trainer, and I predicted the whole fight. Go look at Tarver's tape, bro. I know boxing, and they won't let me help these guys. Boxing won't even help itself. They won't put people in position that can make a difference, bro. You know I'm that guy. Let me help these fighters, bro. I can show you the difference. Bring one of them to me. I can show you the difference, bro.
So we heard exactly what Antonio Tarver had to say. And he didn't bite his tongue talking about how he felt Derrick James prepared Errol Spence for this Terence Crawford fight. Now, he can have his opinion. Everybody got an opinion. And I know, obviously, like Antonio Tarver said, he wants to be a trainer. He want to train fighters. But my thing is, man, that's not the way to go about it, Tarver. You feel me? You ain't gotta shit on another man while they down, right? And try to make it look like that Derrick James didn't have Errol Spence prepared and Derrick James ain't a good trainer. That's not a way to go about it. You know what I'm talking about? I understand that you feel that you have the knowledge because you was a real good fighter in your day, that you have the knowledge to help out other fighters. And that's cool. I ain't got no problem with that. But like I said, this ain't the way of going about it. You don't hate on another man to try to bring light to yourself. You know what I'm talking about? You could have did it in a whole different way, but Antonio Tarver has always been very vocal. And I'm going to keep it real. When Antonio Tarver was coming up in the game and calling out Roy Jones, and, you know, he piggybacked off of Roy Jones' success and attached his name to Roy Jones throughout the amateurs all the way to the pros, I couldn't stand Antonio Tarver. But he backed up his words and he did what he said he was going to do to Roy Jones. And then years after the Roy Jones fight, Antonio Tarver, he started failing drug test after drug test. He'll try to make a comeback. He'll fail another drug test. So a lot of people gonna look at that like, was he on steroids when he knocked out Roy Jones? What was going on back when he was fighting Roy Jones? You know what I'm talking about? Now, I'm not insinuating that Antonio Tarver was on PEDs when he fought Roy Jones, but a lot of people will, because you continue to get caught on PEDs, and it wasn't just one time, it was on several different occasions. So people can bring up the history on Antonio Tarver if you want to get to talking that stuff. You feel what I'm saying? People gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? They've done it before on Antonio Tarver. They said Antonio Tarver was popping dirty more than Big Baby Jarrell Miller. So people can easily get on Tarver's head and tell him it ain't nothing he can teach Errol Spence but how to fill up that syringe and inject that needle into his veins with them PEDs in them. And so if people look at Antonio Tarver's career and go back and say, you know what, he beat Roy Jones probably because he was on PEDs. And then your whole career would be pretty much nothing, because that's what people remember Antonio Tarver for, is beating Roy Jones. You got any excuses tonight, Roy? Huh? You got any excuses tonight, Roy? That's what people remember Antonio Tarver for. You know, because they always like to say, once you start getting caught, it wasn't your first time doing them, it was just your first time getting caught. But that's a whole different story in itself. Now, do I think that Antonio Tarver could have made a difference in this fight with Errol Spence? No, I do not. I don't think the problem was Derrick James. The things that I saw from EJ even leading up to this Terence Crawford fight, I didn't like a lot of what I saw. The things that he was saying, I didn't like none of it. You dig what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it 100 with y'all. And then when I seen him come to the arena, it was like, man, he was just out of it in a daze. He was high. You know what I'm saying? He smoked some weed when he came to the arena, but we're not making no excuses. Terence Crawford did what he did, and Terence Crawford beat him on a level to where he separated himself from the competition, and he made it look like even if Errol Spence was at his best, he still wouldn't have beat Bud, but he could have made it a more competitive fight. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? We just got to see what happened in the rematch, if they do rematch. But Bud did his thing. He separated himself from the competition, so we can't make no excuses. But I'm not putting the blame on Derrick James, because I'm watching the fight, and it ain't nothing that Derrick James could have told Errol Spence in that corner to make him do any better than what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? Terence Crawford was stronger than him. Terence Crawford was faster than him. His feet was faster. He was punching harder. He was more accurate. Everything all the way around the board, Terence Crawford was better at that night. Now, I've seen Errol Spence much better. I have never seen Errol Spence look like that in the fight, ever. So I don't know what was going on with Errol Spence, but on that night, it ain't nothing nobody could have done to make no adjustments, no different game plan, none of that. Errol Spence just didn't have it in the ring that night. So for him to put it on, Derrick James and say that he didn't have Errol Spence prepared, I don't think that would have made a difference. You know what I'm saying? If they had came up with a different game plan, I don't think it would have made a difference, because the speed wasn't there. The power wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? The punch accuracy. Nothing was there for Errol Spence that night. So it ain't nothing that Derrick James could have done. You know what I'm talking about? Derrick James can't get in the ring and fight for these fighters. But Derrick James, as far as Derrick James, man, he's proven to be a great trainer. His legacy is already cemented. You feel what I'm saying? So they gonna go to the drawing board, they gonna come back, and Errol Spence gonna jump back better. But as far as Antonio Tarver, bro, that wasn't the way of going about it. You don't dog another man, especially wait to dog him after he done took a L and his fighter done took a L. You could have went about it in a different way, Antonio Tarver, but let's see if any fighters do listen, and let's see if some of these fighters do go with you. You know what I'm talking about? But anyway, y'all let me know how y'all feel about what Tarver had to say. Drop a comment in the comment section. Make sure that you hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed to the channel. And y'all already know how I do. There you go, talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.